Okay, so for this one, we're going to take a look at some more patterns. The ones we're going to look at, the ones that we had on our homework. J1P3, M5, J8P1, M3, J5, P8, M1, J3. Okay, so a lot of you did pretty well on this one. It seemed you caught on pretty quickly. Let's break this one down. So that can seem like a lot of gibberish, and it can seem a little daunting. So one of the things I like to do is I notice that they consist of two main things, letters and numbers. So the first thing I like to do is to just look at one or the other. So let's pick letters first. So we've got J, P, M, J, P, M. Starting to notice a pattern, J, P, M, J. So just by looking at those alone, you can see that you're repeating 3 of these, J, P, M, J, P, M. So that's a pretty clear pattern. Then, when you stop and you take a look at the numbers, we have 1, 3, 5, 8, 1, 3, 5, 8, 1, 3, and just by looking at those, we can start to see a clear repeat between 4 of these numbers. So 1, 3, 5, 8. So here I'm just going to write down, so it's easy for me to keep track, what that pattern is. And then down here I'm going to write down the pattern for the letters, J, P, M. So now I know these are interspersed together, so you do a letter, then a number, then a letter, then a number. So if we were asked to continue on the pattern after identifying what it was, we start the pattern at J. So we have a J already over here, so the next letter would be P, and then after that it would be an M. And then if we wanted to just keep continuing it just to see, it would be J, P, M. And now we can put the numbers in between. So we know our pattern is 1, 3, 5, 8. And we see that the last number we ended on was a 3. So we should start with a 5 now. So we'd have 5, 8, and then we start our repeat again. So 1, 3, 5, and now we've finished off our pattern and we've identified what the pattern was. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So problem number 2 in our homework. So for this one, we had A2, oh, that's a terrible 2. A2, 3, B, oh, write that smaller, A2, 3, B, B4, 3A, C2, 3D, D4, 3C, and E2. Okay. So some of these can be a little bit harder. So what I told you last time is that I would break it up into numbers and letters. So I tried it for this one. And I started out and I went A, B, okay, B. So maybe it doubles, does a single and a double. Okay, so we went back to an A, maybe we'll start the pattern again. Well, we go to a C, so maybe it'll do a second C, but it does a D this time, and another D, and then a C, and then you jump to E. So my first idea was that maybe the pattern is you do one single, one double, and then you repeat that one that you did a single for. And then you do the next one, because we've already done A and B, now we do C, and the next one after that we do double, and then we repeat our single. And then, if we go here, the next one after D would be E. And if you went on this way, then you would guess that if you doubled it, you'd have E, F, F, and then you'd come back to your E. And then you continue it like G, H, H, G. Okay. Then if we take a look at our numbers, I jumped from 2 to 3, 3 to 4. Okay, that's a pattern that's going up by 1. That makes sense. And then back to 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2. So you might have noticed another repeat. So we have 2, 3, 4, 3. 2, 3, 4, 3. 2. So let's write that down. 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3. And then 2. And then if you were to continue that one out, you would suspect that it would be 3, 4, and then another 3. So you could go through and disperse all of them. However, if you're paying attention, you notice that the numbers and letters are switching sides. So unless you want to go through and do one letter, 2 numbers, then the next letter, and the next letter, 2 numbers, or 2 numbers over here. That would be kind of confusing. So what I did next is I looked, okay, well, what if we only looked at how they were changing sides? So when I did that, I only jumped from letters and numbers that were on the same side. So let's start with letters again. So if we go from the same side, we have A to B. So only the numbers that are to the letters that to the right of their number. So that one's, this one's to the left, and this one's to the left, so C to D. And then C, and that would continue, oh, nope, E. And then that would continue on, we don't know where. So when we do that, we find our pattern is A, B, C, D, E. That seems like a pretty clear pattern to follow. So let's look at the letters that are only to the right of their numbers. So B to A, D to C, and that's all we've got. So we get B, A, D, C. And so I thought to myself, well, A, B, C, D, only you take and you reverse the first and the second one. So you put the B before the A and the D before the C. And if we follow this pattern, then the next set, so for the red set, the next one, because it's going A, B, C, D, E, would just be an F. And then the next set for the green, where the letter is on the right, so A, B, C, D, and then E would be on the right, and then F would be on the left because you reverse the pair. And then when I went up to the numbers, I did the same thing where I took only the numbers that were on the right or only the numbers that were on the left. So this first one starts on the right, so let's connect it to the ones on the right. So 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, and continue on. So that's a clear pattern. You go 2 to 4, 2 to 4, and then 2, and then you're guessing the next one would be a 4 if it follows this pattern. Then let's take the numbers on the left. 3 to 3, 3 to 3, and then we don't have anything there. So 3 to 3, 3 to 3. So either way of describing the pattern works. This one just accounts a little more for how they switch and breaking it down into more patterns. So sometimes there are multiple ways to look at patterns, so don't get too caught up on one right answer. And then the last one on that sheet was 5 double A, 10 double B, 12 CD, 17 DG, and 19 EK. Okay. So let's start with the numbers since that's the first thing we come across. So we go 5 to 10. And usually I like to see how much it adds it up because that's most often the case and the easiest to calculate. So it goes up by 5. And then 10 to 12. Goes up by 2. 12 to 17. Increase it by 5. And then 17 to 19, we increase it by 2. So our pattern is increased by 5, then 2, by 5, then 2, and so on for the numbers. The next one is the letters. So when I did this, I decided to break it down just into each, like the numbers, the letters on the left, and then the letters on the right. Because I noticed when I looked first off that when you go just these ones on the left, you get a really nice pattern. A, B, C, D, E. So you're increasing the letter by 1. But what about when we get to these letters that are on the right? So these ones don't increase in as obvious a pattern as those. That's why I left them for last. So I decided to keep using the addition, deciding how many it had increased it by. And a good thing sometimes with patterns is if there's not an obvious one for letters, try assigning them a number and seeing if they increase by a numerical value. And that's what I did. So if you add one letter to A, you get B, so that's increasing it by 1. If you add 2 letters to B, you come to D, because D is the 4th letter. If you add 3 letters, so D, E, F, the 3rd one being G, you get this one. So we can already see that there's a pattern coming on here. And then I know if I go G, H, I, J, and the 4th letter K, plus 4. So now I know we're adding how much we increase it by 1 each time. So let's take all these patterns and try to construct what it would end up being. So 5, 2, 5, 2, the next number we would add would be 5, which means 19 plus 5 would be 24. And then if we go to the letter on the left, we can see it just increases by 1 steadily. So E, and then F. And when we get to the letter on the right, we know we've already increased by 1, 2, 3, 4. The next amount to increase it by would be 5. So L, L, M, N, O, P is the 5th letter. So FP. And that would be our next term using the rules or the pattern that we found in the previous ones.